is I guess when this is uploaded, it will be the second video of my channel. I wanted to give advice about different art mediums used, because I know I get a lot of questions about this, personally from Tumblr or in real life about my art. And so I thought, why not explain to you some of the different things I use. So this will be a multi-part series, but I wanted to start out with markers because for me it was one of my first real serious forms. And I know you're thinking, ew, gross, markers? But not all of them are Crayola grade level, and sometimes certain types of markers are really professional grade, actually. But I know a lot of that isn't explained a lot by art teachers, so I thought I would go on to explain that. So, the first thing I was able to afford on my budget are these, and they're India ink markers. They're Faber-Castell, and I hope you could see that and it wasn't blurry. They usually come in different color packs. Like, I believe all of these were together because of being bright colors, but there's several different series of them. They're definitely like a step above Crayola or just like grocery store brand markers. Sometimes they can be a bit streaky, but if you get a feel for them, they definitely work, and it's better to start off with those, I think, because they are in a not cheap price range, but cheaper than other markers. So yeah, that would definitely be that's where I started, and that's where I would recommend starting for other people who don't know how to use markers that aren't like, coloring book stuff. So yeah, and then the most probably popular America-wise, or just in the Western world, is Prismacolor markers. Hopefully that's close enough. The Faber-Castell is kind of a brush tip, so that's also kind of fun. But for the Prismacolors, there's two tips. So this one is the fine point tip, and it's better for smaller details, or if you really want it just, a firm control over it, compared to the larger tip, which is definitely more marker-esque. Not quite a Sharpie, but, so these are quite popular, but I never really liked them. I only bought this color and a gray one, and from both the smell and the way that it handles, I don't like it as much as the next marker brand I'll be showing you. And the next marker brand is definitely a commitment. If you start buying them, you'll want to keep buying them and buy an entire set or whatever. And usually it is cheaper online to buy them from like Asia or Amazon or something, and buy like a 100-pack or whatever. There's a lot of different options in terms of like color palettes where you can buy sets. So keep that in mind, that it is cheaper online. But because I lived in San Francisco at the time when I first started collecting, I bought them all individually, which was great in terms of like actually being able to pick out the colors that I wanted. But it also was very expensive, especially because they started out about, I want to say like $4 a marker, but now they are as expensive as $7 or higher. It depends on the shop, of course. If you go to like your local art market, it's definitely more expensive than like getting them at Blix, or sometimes Michael's carries them, but I wouldn't rely on that as a way to definitely know that they're there. but the brand is Copics, and this is my little bag of them because I got so many that I couldn't just put them in a drawer or something. So I wanted to have them sort of organized. And this is my collection. It's not as big as some people's. I believe this is, I want to say, I don't know. I forget how many markers I do have. Some of them did dry out, or I accidentally bought duplicates. But I will be buying more in the future when I can afford it. But they're definitely lovely, and I started out getting like the skin tones, and then because I found that they blended nicer, and then I would use like the India ink for like clothing designs and stuff when I was drawing. But definitely do whatever you want and choose. But the thing is, the colors on the tops of these do not really match. So it's really helpful to actually test them out on paper before you buy them, which is again the other reason I wanted to buy them individually rather than buy them in a pack. But they're used a lot in Japanese art, and basically if you've ever looked at a manga cover, a lot of mangakas actually would use Copic markers, and not, especially like for old school manga, they would use the markers instead of like Photoshop, and a lot of artists still do use the markers. Sometimes in combination with watercolor, sometimes not, but the appearance is very much like watercolor, which is why they're so popular. And it's an alcohol-based ink, so it blends really well together. There's several different blending methods you could use, and there is a special marker that's called the the colorless blender, and that also helps. I bought one, but I didn't really like it. I found my own certain method to my madness in terms of using them, and the colorless blenders kind of washed it out, kind of like when you add a lot of water to your pigment in watercolor. So I wasn't too much of a fan of that. But to show you how they look like, I brought out one of my sketchbooks from college, where the assignment was basically like doing letters from the alphabet, and all of these were done with the Copic markers. This isn't, well, this one's just black and white ink, but you get the idea that they're a bit brighter than watercolors, but still the same effect on the page. And I wouldn't recommend this sketchbook because it bleeds through, but usually the Copic markers, the beautiful thing about them compared to other brands is that they don't bleed if you use the correct paper. But this is really thin, and although I love the sketchbook, I wouldn't use it again for this sort of a project. I don't know how close I need to bring it to actually show you the effect on the page. This is, I think, probably the best example because it is very, it looks very washy, and there's like brush strokes and stuff in it, even though it is a marker. I do believe this is the India ink for all of the colors except for the yellow. So just to show you a comparison. So, and this is also India ink, you could tell the colors aren't as nice. But it has a very, and again, India ink. It just has a very nice approach, and you wouldn't expect their markers at the first glance, because, like I said at the beginning of this video, most people automatically assume that it's, you know, Crayola or whatever, rose art or something really shitty. So yeah, again, when you buy them in a pack, they tend to be, I want to say, like maybe as low as $3 a marker. It really depends on the website and where you get them. But I think we're getting to the end. And the leaves, I think I did a good job on. Those are with the comics. And this is with India ink. You could tell how it's kind of patchy. Even though I've used India ink for a long time and I feel like I have a good control over it, that's how it is. Compared to Copic, which looks so effortless in comparison. And that's the end. But yeah, so don't knock it till you try it. And hopefully from here I will have videos about watercolor paints and the different sets that I use, a video on wash and acrylic, if those are something you'd be interested in, as well as various other, I guess, like hints and tips and tricks and speed paints like you've seen already. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and like, comment, and subscribe. Please tell me what you would like to see featured from this channel, and that's it. Bye-bye!